Hello everyone and welcome to another VOD review. We've got one more match to review before the next weekend of matches, before everything we think we know gets thrown out the window because teams decide to win or lose matches that we think are unfathomable. Today we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Gladiators taking on the Florida Mayhem. I think everyone can agree that this was by far the best match of the weekend in terms of just high quality Overwatch, very close match. And it just goes the distance. I don't really want to talk about it too much. Let's just get into it. I'm sure we'll talk about it as it happens. But both of these teams have exciting prospects. Gladiators, I feel like, are getting underrated coming into this season, even though they made it to the grand finals of the Pro-Am. You know, this is a rematch of that. They keep, proving the doubters wrong. Dante always succeeds where people expect him to fail. You got Custa and Yaki getting more in sync. They're sort of moving away from playing that Kai style, and there's obvious value there. Like, Yaki has an incredible series here, I will say, for the Yaki haters, or at least the Yaki doubters a little bit, who are trying to stomp down a vast ego of a top 5 flex DPS. He didn't do as well in the next match, but Yaki did play incredibly well, and if he can get consistency on that, huge boon for the Gladiators. Obviously, Lastro and Funny Astro are important in this series, but we'll get to that at a later time. Florida Mayhem, on the other hand, have looked to be one of the best dive teams we've seen. Their backline as well, Chorong Rupal, play a very interesting style of playing the game. Of like, they've been, I don't know if they played as much in this series, but they've been playing like a lot of Baptiste Kiriko. They've been doing a lot of different looks just off the basis that Chorong has incredible flexibility as a main support and a flex support. But the big identifying factor here for the Florida Mayhem that you should keep in mind is Merit doesn't like to play Sombra, and Florida Mayhem in general have sort of strayed away from playing Sombra. They play in a way that enables Merit to play the hit scan, and Merit has been an incredible hit scan over this season, and we saw flashes of it last season. Like, Merit is very, very strong. So that's sort of how the Florida Mayhem likes to play. Someone wants to be the threat. He wants to be that anchor. They even played Sauna in this first map, but we don't see Sauna too much so far. So let's just get into this series and enjoy this one. I want to make sure that you guys can hear the audio just a little bit. I don't want to hear you guys hear it too loud, but I realized in other videos you guys didn't really have any audio, so hopefully this should be a little bit better sounding for you guys.
Yes, it'll be the Mayhem coming out with a Reinhardt-based composition.
So Florida playing, Reinhardt instead of the Ramatra. I don't know, chat, follow me up with this one. Do you guys, what do you think of the Reinhardt versus the Ramatra? I don't like the Reinhardt. I just think Ramatra is better and more versatile, but some teams are really lining, up on that Reinhardt setup.
Yaki copying a lot of incidental damage there, and he's just blown up. Someone able to find the charge.
Someone pins Yaki. Good timing.
For Dante to walk into. Ramatra,
Ram greater than Ryan, yeah. And also a way you don't roll over them, yeah. And that's sort of it. I don't know if I'm surprised we still see teams like Florida playing the Reinhardt over the Ramatra, but if you're ever gonna have like a real close range battle, and I think Reinhardt could work here, but even still. Custa on the Sojourn is an interesting look as well, because this is something we've seen more from the Gladiators, is that instead of putting Kai in to play these hit scans, Sauna goes down. Instead of putting Kai in to play these hit scans, they've just been moving Kevstar over to the hit scan. He plays the Sojourn, he plays some of these other characters, and that enables Yaki to be the tracer flex DPS, and we see that sort of how that works with the hero swaps throughout this series.
With Kevstar stood behind it was the key for the Gladiators to win that fight. I think we watched that from Rupal's perspective, and he spent much of his time.
I was at the Mayhem watch party. The energy there is what reminded me of why I love esports. I think in general, if you've never been to an esports live event or in a stadium or in a watch party or anything like that, you really should, because that is really where esports is at its best, when you're watching in a crowd. In the same way that sports is, it's best when you watch it in a crowd. The same thing can exactly be said for esports, and if you ever get an opportunity to, you should.
Annihilation is online. Icewall going to give the Gladiators a moment to prepare themselves here.
Oh, that was a good sleep. Dante was about to block forever, get healed, and the sound barrier was going to keep him alive. Yaki does get 2 though. Lastro just too much damage.
Crucially, Yaki also able to stand his ground. This is very good now for the Florida Mayhem. Rather, the Gladiators, excuse me, as they're forced away.
He dropped you know, we were watching Dante's POV, he dropped the voice I'd suffer as I have, and then just was immediately killed.
I went to Houston versus Dallas last year and it was lit, yeah.
It's like,
Glad's always find a way to beat the best teams, dude. It's the Dante effect, right?
enjoy more of that. Suffer.
Dante is just like...
He'll have annihilation here.
Dante just refuses to be a bad player or have a mediocre performance. Good. That's a great Blizzard. Good sound barrier, but Merit dies. I don't even know how that happens. Why Sauna over Checkmate? We don't really know. Maybe they think Sauna is a better May. This could absolutely just be giving them reps. Maybe they were confident into this match. Maybe they've scrimmed with Sauna on this map to play the May. It's hard to know. Personally, I'd rather just see them play Merit Checkmate everywhere, but I'm sure they have their reasons.
He actually came out of his ice block. He got frozen. Dante was frozen. Someone frozen there. Everybody just no, not.
I think Yaki is a better May and Reaper than Kev. Yeah, I can see that.
Mayhem take advantage of it.
I've actually really liked the Kevs the Yaki DPS duo. We had a lot of questions about like who was going to play what and who was going to do what. But I think if Kevs is able to like step up and play this hit scan, a lot of people have talked about, oh, that's such an important kill. Oh my God. Bro, what? Merit is just disgusting. And like, I think we need to start going into this timeline. And I sort of brought this up to Jake as well when we were talking about it. I was like, I think Merit might be, right now, so far this season, Merit's the best hit scan in the world. And Jake made a good point, is like, Merit's the only hit scan in the world right now, which is kind of true. Not many players are playing like just purely a ton of hit scan. There's been a lot of Hanzo and stuff like that, but Merit's really been the one playing a lot of these heroes, but I would not be surprised. Oh, nice shatter. Oh, Pim wasn't great. I would not be surprised if we get to the end of this year and Merit is the best hit scan in the world, like undoubtedly. Obviously, Lip exists. He's playing Sombra right now in this meta, but he just impresses me every single time we watch him.
Like, who's in a better position in terms of ultimate?
Jimmy's great. Yeah, I don't think Jimmy's there yet, you know?
Sound barrier coming online, so someone gonna go over to the Doom.
But he doesn't play Tracer, and that is one of the big weaknesses of Merit as a player, is that we sort of assume that they're not playing Sombra because they're not as confident and comfortable on it with Merit. Merit also doesn't really play that much Tracer. He plays a little bit of Tracer, if I remember correctly, but a player who is primarily just like a hit scan player, on the similar vein to like kind of what Kai is, right? It's kind of a weakness in this day and age of Overwatch. Is like, if you're a hit scan player, you kind of have to play Sombra and Tracer as well. Like, if you can play Sombra and Tracer and you also are a top tier hit scan, your value is like insane. Jimmy is the greatest Hanzo in the league. If we're going to take this short sample size, you can make that argument. But I don't think we need to. We're 4 matches in. Let's just calm it down.
Junker Queen we've seen, like, I think like players like Dante, players like someone.
Shock missed out last year by picking up Kilo over Merit, yeah. But Kilo honestly had a higher prospect and there was a better chances. Like, I remember actually watching the O2 Blast going into last season, like the O2 Blast match that they have for the finals, and I was like, Merit was better than Kilo in that match. But people were like, oh yeah, but Kilo in general is better. I was like, okay, whatever you say. But then, you know, what came to be. So we're going to get the Ramacha versus the Reinhardt set up again. Gladiators did close that one out. I'm not in love with the Reinhardt. I just don't like the Reinhardt. Obviously, that one wasn't really as much determined by the Reinhardt versus the Ramacha, but
he's ready to receive the charge of someone that gets cancelled. Someone's able to take a bunch of space here, give Sauna some decent sight lines to send some of these icicles.
And I'm just trying to see where that the Gladiators are trying.
Dude, this spot is so good for RuPaul. It's healing for free.
Just really uncontested, able to keep everybody alive, but Kevs are playing the Hans.
No, I saw the funniest thing. What was it? Al Opinions had a Twitter post. Well, I think it was yesterday. And it was like, RuPaul is the most underrated flex support in the league. And people made great comments. It was like, how is a player underrated if they just won the Pro-Am MVP? Like, if you had said that coming into the season, yeah, RuPaul is the thing. And I think a lot of us hyped him up even then. Like, we were saying, like, RuPaul is sick for the Mayhem last year. We can understand why he retained him. But I think RuPaul is getting rated, like, properly at this point. Like, he is, in my opinion, you know, we were talking about it going into starting this thing. Talking about Shu, we were talking about Phil, the best flex supports in the world. I think RuPaul needs to come into this conversation as at least like a dark horse outside perspective of that. Of like, I think he has the mechanics to match those guys. And I think he's playing incredible Overwatch, at least so far this season.
blocked there by that Maywall from Yaki. So you get nothing out of that. And then look at Lastro up in the high ground.
He's got a good spot, and the wall is there to
I wouldn't say that, and that's how much I rate RuPaul as a player. I think he was doing it all of last year. Settle down, lad. No, that's not outrageous. Hey, that's my take, right? Like, that's my hot take of, like, I genuinely believe that RuPaul deserves to be in this conversation and will be in this conversation in the future. Maybe I'm overrating him at this point. Maybe we've flipped too hard, but I don't know. I believe it. His BAP's incredible. His Ana's incredible. We know how good his Zenyatta has been in the past. His Kiriko has had big moments. Like,
you're going to have Blizzard overclock.
Best Western Flex. I think you can definitely say that RuPaul is the best Western Flex support in the league with how Ultraviolet has been struggling. So far this year, he's been the best Western Flex. I was really high on Ultraviolet coming into this season, but I think Toronto as a whole has been struggling. Ultraviolet has suffered at that as well. Or good anti-nade onto Dante.
Crucial immortality field there keeps Dante alive, and long enough for the sound barrier to come in. He's able to find Chorong, who has a beat of his own. That's huge. How does Chorong not have an opportunity to make use of that? It must have been the Blizzard.
Not quite AS'd it. Wow, dude. Florida just got... Alright. Also... Literally, Florida's just got to stop playing Reinhardt. Like, almost every single problem that they had is that it felt like someone had to overextend to get value. And, like, he just keeps dying. Like, to everything. Ramatra's just a better pick. Like, I almost 100% chalk this one up to... Like, Florida should just not be playing Reinhardt. I feel like Ramatra is just worse than... sorry, Reinhardt's worse than Ramatra. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of things went wrong. Chorong doesn't get the beat off. All that type of stuff, but... Make no mistake, it was that. You ever think we'll stop overrating a thing? Well, like, this is the year, right? Like, this is the year that we really get a true gauge on the American Tornado players, right? They've been hyping themselves up for years. They've been saying that when they get to the league, when they get together, they can be better than anyone else in the league. This really should be their peak season, right? They're all coming off of rookie years. They've all had a lot of experience. They've played under a lot of coaches. They're coming together. I think that's in general why Toronto has been so disappointing, but, like, Toronto got fucking manhandled by the Florida Mayhem, right? That match was not close. Like, Florida came out angry in that match against Toronto, and it was ugly.
Now we'll play to something with a little bit more flexibility, give himself some options. Baptiste Kiriko with the combo here, and Merrick, on the Ash. So it should be a lot of fun to see how
they're missing Reiner so hard. Yeah, but I also think they're just playing the wrong things. Like, I don't want to see them play Soundball. But let's not get too distracted. So now we're getting the signature look, as Mitch just said, of Chorong on the Kiriko and RuPaul on the Baptiste, right? This is something that they played a lot throughout this weekend that no one else is really playing. And the value of this composition is, first of all, it enables merit, right? So what you're trading is, instead of playing a Brig with your backliner, with like the Ana, like we've usually seen, you play the Kiriko, and the Kiriko goes aggressive with the Tracer Ramatra, and then the Baptiste and the Ash play together, right? So these two play together, and then these two play together, and the Kiriko goes back and forth depending on if you want to play aggressive or defensively. The value of this is that you can play aggressively with the Kiriko and swift step back to your backline as soon as they need help. And that's really how Florida Mayhem play this, and what makes it so strong, because they're so good at it, right? There's some big moments for these guys. So Gladiators are going to sub in Kai as well. And, you know, I was sort of talking about this a little bit earlier. I prefer it when they do just play Kev's the Yaki and they just commit. Like, at this point, right? So they're playing a very similar composition, but they change players. I would rather just see Kevs to play Hanzo, Yaki stay in and play the Mei, and then that gives them more option of flexibility. As much as Kai's in here to be a hit scan player, because it's not a hard hit scan meta, I'd rather see Kevs to stay in to do that.
Brawly style, right? You know, you kind of, you know, use the...
What about, yeah, like Kai to come in on Widow maps if we ever have, like, you know, if we ever need, like, Ash, Cassidy, Widowmaker, you know, those hard hit scan heroes, then yeah, I'm all for Kai coming in, but it doesn't feel necessary at this point. Wow, he just fucking murdered someone.
Well, the Mayhem don't have a speed of their own to respond to this, right? They can't reposition on a dime like the Gladiators can.
So they get... Dante's getting cap up, though. Whoa! Yo, RuPaul had no idea. Oh my god, they didn't kill the lamp. That was so funny. That was a jump scare for RuPaul. You could see it in his... He's like, whoa!
Elsewhere, Chorong's able to find Lastro. The Gladiators here have to be careful.
Yeah, they got off the point to do this, so we'll see.
Yeah, and that's as Matt said, they had to get off the point to like make that play, but I think it was the right play.
Looks like
that should close it out.
Gonna be able to camp this first point A in a really.
I hate the Ash pick. I like the Ash pick. I like the Ash pick with how they're playing.
They wrapped around through the hotel, right? They put that May wall up, right to where the right of Dante.
I also don't think they were anticipating playing against the Ramatra composition.
To that further platform. For the Florida Mayhem, which allows Kai to wrap around the back.
I think a lot of that struggle just goes from like someone just got picked by Kai on the Hanzo. I don't like the Ash on Ilios. I don't like it on control or push as much. Like I'd rather you just play Hanzo or Sojourn like we've seen them play. But on Escort and Hybrid, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. So here's what you do as the Kiriko, right? So you play aggressive, dude. Churong's lucky they did not realize they used that. Yeah, so that was smart by Gladiators. Churong was just way too aggressive in my opinion. But they do trade backlines. Gladiators just went aggressive, recognizing the Kiriko wasn't there to help them. But then they still win, bro. Like, Florida just is so smart with this style of play.
Yeah, look, I think
how's Dante been as a solo tank? Dante's been good. Honestly, I think Dante's really shown his strengths. Like, he's good at Ramatra, he's good at Junker Queen, the new heroes, right? He's good at Doomfist. The big question is Winston, but his Winston is always serviceable when it needs to be. Is that sort of how it feels?
When he tried to do that in the previous fight on point A, he got punished for it. Merit switching over the Hanzo here now.
Any of this payload progress is also, Merit just rips Kai's head off. I was going to say is awesome, right? Because
I like the Hanzo switch against the Ramatra. Like, I like the Ash. I think they went Ash on, like, thinking that they were going to play against, like, a Tracer Sombra or, like, a Winston. Because that's what most people play. I don't think they were expecting to go against a Ramatra Brawl composition. Oh, Merit. Way too aggressive there. That was questionable play.
That is actually the M-Matrix from Lastro there.
Kind of a mistake. Dude, Lastro dies, though. Is that going to matter?
Going to get that second checkpoint off of this.
They might get the checkpoint. The Tracer and the Ramatra are so late to the point. I think that should be checkpoint.
It kind of ends up happening there, where I think actually Florida's probably a little bit surprised.
Dante pressed the heck out of it, yeah.
Right after losing Kai.
I think they get it. Yeah, wow. That was pretty... Oh, never mind. Checkmate. Whoa, how did Checkmate get... Wait, yo, did Checkmate just no-clip through the map to get here?
Happening there, where I think actually Florida's probably a little bit surprised they invested at that moment, right after losing. Happening there.
How does Checkmate get here?
A little bit surprised there was no counter for it.
So he just respawns.
Happening there, where I think actually Florida's probably a little bit surprised they invested.
Triple blink.
Right after losing Kai.
Yeah, I think Merit not ready for the speed boost. It's a key miscalculation.
How did he have so many blinks?
He doesn't have a Lucio of his own, so I understand.
And then he recalls. And then someone's on it. Bro, how did Checkmate just pull that shit off? How did they? I don't know. I don't know how Checkmate closed that distance that quickly. I'm so confused how he managed to get there.
He's gonna make sure it's good.
It actually looks like you're not going to get this second checkpoint off. It's a really nice from Checkmate and crew. Checkmate there first to be able to kind of...
I'm so confused how he did that. That's crazy. I thought that was 100% going to be a cap. Like, Gladiators played that properly as well. They had 3 people on cart the whole time. It's not like they could have played that any faster.
That's huge because the Florida Mayhem...
Okay, well played, Checkmate. And Checkmate's been so impressive. So impressive this season. Now that there's been like utmost faith in him to be able to play that like Tracer and like play the flex, like he's just stepping up in such a big way.
Also gives them the fight win here and puts a bit of pressure down on the Gladiators. Checkmate.
Checkmate's smart, understanding he doesn't need to do anything here. Like, he doesn't have to kill Kai, right? His job here is not to kill Kai or kill anyone. He knows he's not going to kill anyone. He just needs to remain a threat. Kai shot every single one of the arrows in that team fight at him. The backliners had to turn to help him, right? He's just remaining a threat. And that's something that I think a lot of, like, inexperienced Tracers do, where they're like, oh, the fight's starting. I need to just, like, 2-blink into their Hanzo and try and one-clip someone, right? Sometimes just remaining a threat is better than getting a kill.
These ultimates as well, as it looked like that the Gladiators were gonna be in prime position.
That's why as a professional you wouldn't get it.
It's getting a little scary now. It's you're really looking at sound barrier maybe when they use the annihilation here. And, I think also just keeping an eye on Checkmate. Can he get value out of this pulse bomb?
The early lamp. Is that pulse bomb by Checkmate to get that one out? I think it was. It's a big deal. Not having lamp. Wow, that was a dangerous jump by RuPaul there. They got Annihilation. They got Rush. Whoa, yo. Gladiators said the time is now. Just popped window beat and May. The Rush. Oh, someone got caught by that. Good lamp. I don't think it's enough. Oh, Churong got frozen? Bro, what? Did he have Suzu? I would be pissed if I was Churong. How is he getting hit by this blizzard? If he had the Suzu, that was so unlucky. Because one of the big strengths of this Kiriko Baptiste as well is you literally get both immortalities. You get two things. Someone should like never die in a fight where there's a 5v5 fight because he's got Suzu on a ridiculously low cooldown. They got Baptiste Lamp. You got Annihilation. You got
worst case scenario.
Nemesis form. If Churong had Suzu there, that was literally that mistake by Churong of getting frozen up there was team fight losing. Because if he's Suzu someone there, someone pops the Annihilation and they live to fight the tower. Kai's getting value on this Hanzo. I know I questioned putting Kai in general, but Kai's kind of making justification of why he's in this lineup right now. Someone's getting very aggressive.
Someone actually pops his Annihilation, goes in deep.
Very aggressive.
And just takes up so much damage there. It was a while to get rid of him as I believe Merritt found one in that whole process.
You ever see a world where Kev's subbed out? No, Kev's should never come out of this team. In the same way that Proper should never be subbed out. They're both flexible enough players that they can play anything in any given meta. Oh. Checkmate takes Dante on the way out is huge. Like, that kind of just stops the push for the Gladiators.
And the Gladiators will have to slow right on down here. Even with 4 players, they need Dante in the mix to really advance.
He used his Annihilation.
RuPaul did off topic, but RuPaul did a really good interview. Like, if you haven't seen the Florida Mayhem interview that he did after their match against Toronto, that was a really insightful and interesting and well-spoken interview. I didn't know that, what to expect, but that was awesome.
Like Baptiste, like your Hanzo, becomes so much stronger here on the high ground.
Oh, yeah, that's just too much damage. Kevster is one of the top 5 players in the league. Yeah, I agree. Especially on DPS, right? The Genji, I like the Genji. For like one fight, I actually don't hate it. On this point especially, like, playing Trace is kind of awkward here because there's no real flank angles, but there's a lot of high ground. So I actually kind of like Genji here because you can like utilize the strengths of like you can always flank through here, that kind of stuff. While Tracer, the flank angles aren't as good. So I actually don't mind Genji on this third point, especially if they're going to be playing like Mei, Ramatra, Hanzo, those kind of things. Time to nerf Genji, yeah. You know, time to nerf Junker Queen and Genji again, right? Am I right?
Checkmate Reinhardt, he MTB'd point.
Yeah, you saw access the one like to the right when
someone grabbed the nerf bat.
So
with a good finisher ult, I think Genji Blade is so mid these days.
I wonder if
Gladiators are gonna play Junker Queen, Torb, Ashe.
I do. If Florida Mayhem see this, and when they do, what do they decide to do? Like, do you continue? You don't exactly like want to play just on the point.
I think you. I think you're okay with this if you're Florida. I think your comp's pretty happy to play against this. What else would you play? You could justify him playing a Pharah.
Now they'll have an idea of what they're going up against.
Even an Echo or something like that.
A little bit more aggressive, like a dive against this, right? You know, deal with.
You can keep playing the Ramatra. You just need to get onto the backline. But with the Kiriko BAP, I actually don't hate this. Because the problem with Gladiators comp is that they're not going to be able to aggress ever. In like a lot of ways. And that's why I don't really love the Torb Ashe with the Lucio Kiriko. With the Queen. I would rather than play like the Queen with like the BAP. With like the BAP Kiriko. And then the Kiriko plays aggressive and the Baptiste can heal. Because I feel like these three want to go aggressive while these two want to anchor and play incredibly slowly. So I feel like they could get caught of like one half gets overrun.
If you ask Jack, it's the more fearsome part of Torbjorn's offering. Mero going to take his time.
Well, thank God it is Jack.
Pressure Dante down. I mean, that boy be
like, so you sort of see what I mean there. So Dante doesn't have enough healing or ways to anchor on the point to like force someone off, but also the backline doesn't have enough damage and like threat and healing to push off this Hanzo. So it feels like Florida would just played it smart of like, well, we're just going to play slow. Because the tanks can never go into you with the Lucio Kiriko, but the DPS can't follow up on final blows. Would May work in final tours? Well, at that point, you're just playing Ramatra Brawl, right? Which I would have been fine if they played the Ramatra Brawl, right? With May and like they could have played this, right? With the Ashe in the window, and I think that could have been a good threat. But I think they were sort of cooking too much with that one.
Really effective.
He just want May, yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were playing some of those heroes just so that they could sub out at any point. Kai just kills Merit. Like, I don't know how that happens.
He's been absolutely full of them. Two incredibly effective DPS players playing at long range.
Guys, I bladed to get sleep data. Literally, it's literally an ult to bait ultimate. Dude, Kai's hit scan is fucking nasty. When he's able to just shoot, he's different.
Merit's pretty big, right? You get that Hanzo in that type of situation where he's at. Getting close to that dragon, right? You get a dragon through the streets, pushes players back. Now you're looking at it being around the first or second corner if he's alive, and checkmate in a perfect position here for their pulse bomb. He actually almost pushes
burst used there.
He actually almost pushes them out.
Dude, this is the one Spectre that like streams at 30 FPS. There's one spectator that just has a dramatically worse PC than everyone else of the spectators. And you can really tell because of how low the FPS is. Oh, wow. Dude, checkmate. That was crazy that they stayed him in the whole time, but that just showed how impactful checkmate was on that fight.
And the Florida Mayhem will continue their march.
Yeah, that is massive. The Gladiators actually got a really nice window there, though, Mitch. Like, they were able to use the sound barrier. It was, like, kind of go.
Call them out on broadcast? I don't know.
Some of these Florida Mayhem ultimates that came through, like the Annihilation and even that Dragon Strike. But the Pulse Bomb from Checkmate, a clean up there at the end. Just too good there from the Mayhem as they look fantastic on offense.
All right, here we go. 3:24 on the clock.
Why haven't they checked to see why that is? I have no idea. As I said, I've just noticed it because it comes up every now and then where I'm like watching a poll and I'm like, dude, this person's at like 30 FPS compared to the, you know, whatever everyone else is at like 150. Or at least 60, right? Like, could be a console spectator? I doubt it. Historically, I think they would have given systems to people, but I don't know if they have the software and like hardware to be able to do that kind of stuff. Oh, Dante just got pummeled trying to go aggressive, right? Churro gets Kai is wild.
No, I feel like he slowed someone down a little bit, but no one was really there with the rest of the
Kev's is on an island on the left there. Kevster versus Tracer. Kevster kills checkmate in the 1v1 is huge. I don't think it's going to be enough to hold the point, though. They lost everyone else, yeah.
Florida Mayhem. And we'll get that second checkpoint now. Man, they got about 4 minutes to go.
All the spectators working from home on their PCs. That's what I would assume.
Yeah, and we'll see what they
like. I don't believe that they're. I don't believe the spectators are in a studio setup or anything like that. Like,
because look at this. I mean, you have 4 players up here on this high ground for the Florida Mayhem. We talked about it, how good of a job they did. They're denying it from the Gladiators. Is Funny Astro trying to get a boot, knock some players down.
Well, Funny Astro, you gotta be careful.
Real careful though, right?
Oh my god.
That's like a one.
Astro's just asking to die.
You are the matador in this situation, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You are asking for it.
And he died. There he goes.
Running with the balls in a
Funny Astro eventually gets caught. That was... I don't understand that play. Oh, wow. And they get onto Churong. Churong gets onto Lastro. Oh, duck. Dude, Gladiators just getting corralled into a corner. And this is the value of having a Tracer, and this is why it's kind of frustrating seeing them like play this like May Hanzo. People don't usually play May Hanzo unless you have like a defensive position because like you kind of need something that's going to force the issue. It just kind of feels like Gladiators are hoping to find picks and find kills, but they're just not coming. Someone mainly playing Ram, even though his Winston's crazy. This map was better for Ram, in my opinion. Like, I just think it's a better Brawl map. And then Li Jiangtao is also a better Ramatra map.
It's kind of like expected, like after you...
The question really is...
All right, now we go to Rialto, which is a very different map. I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen a lot of people play Diva on this one. Diva.
don't worry.
Yeah, Dante's going to play it. I wonder if someone's going to come out on the Winston. Because, yeah, no, he's going to go D.Va as well. So both sides play D.Va.
Very good for you.
Yeah, for sure. I totally believe that. D.Va, the tank of choice. For
Doesn't Lastro save this game a few times? No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Here at the early moments, Gladiators on D.Va.
Couldn't imagine that.
Playing the Widow. So, Widow Tracer. I think Yaki being in and just like insta-locking that Tracer. Kevster's hero pool is so massive that like you can really play just about anything off of this, right?
All right, so now we got Merit in. So, and here's the thing, like, why are you playing Kevster on a Widow map? But I guess maybe they want Kevster to switch over. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Yeah, actually, I take back what I said. So Florida's once again going to go with the patented Kiriko Baptiste, and we sort of saw how strong that is as well. Maybe I don't love it as much when you're playing a D.Va.
Yeah, I mean, both teams do have the D.Va, so there's a lot of flexibility offered to you there. Also, Ana for Babel here, alongside Lastro. One major point of difference, again, like maybe harder to find a good nano candidate outside of your, Brigitte, as it often seems to be the case. The Mayhem is slowly.
So they're taking, I like them taking this left side.
Around the left-hand side of the map, and Lastro's
you can see Gladiators like, oh shit, well, I guess
on that low ground.
We're gonna have to concede space.
Yeah, like look at this. Like they're trying to wrap around.
Do this in my ranked games more. Where you just go down the left side, take the statue, force the back line, like apply pressure, force them to deal with you.
You know, those players push right through that high ground. I mean, he is in a very difficult spot. Doesn't have the best sight lines either there from the Widowmaker's point of view too. So just kind of like putting pressure on both of them.
Kevster Widow ain't in on this map. Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
A bit harder on Kevster here.
People have always like hyped up Kevster hit scan. We haven't seen a lot of it because he's always usually had someone else play the hit scan, but people have hyped it up, and it's definitely fine. But you know, I think this goes back into the narrative that we talk about all the time, where it's like it needs to be better than fine, right? Oh, Babel's in as well with Funny Astro out, which makes sense if they're gonna play Ana Brig. But Kevster needs what? Kevster needs to be better than fine for the level that the Gladiators play, right? If you're going to beat the Florida Mayhem, you need to be better than fine when you're going up against Merit, when you're going up against Lip, when you're going up against, you know, any top tier hit scan.
Just had no visibility on just about anybody.
You know, like we saw how good you need to be when the Bird Ring Aspire matchup, right? And those are middle of the pack teams, right? Doesn't Yaki make hit scan make more sense? Yaki doesn't play hit scan. I don't believe Yaki plays hit scan at any meaningful level.
You slowly just sort of carve up the map, move in, scale up your control.
Yaki's Tracer is also very good. It is not a problem to have Yaki on the Tracer.
Kevster, our first pick here is the very beginning of a key hold. The Mayhem don't really seem inclined to present any targets to him. Checkmate looks like he's trying to wrap around a little bit and put a bit of pressure on the Tracer.
It's been a really slow attack by Florida. Like, nothing's really happening. I guess that's what happens when you have a Widow v Widow matchup where neither Widow has got on a kill.
Infrasights up, it's going to be like very difficult. I feel like now in terms
oh, Kevster grapple.
Oh, they have one player directly behind him. That's actually true.
Oh, see, no, no. Oh, that feels fucking bad. They aggressed with the rally, but they lost the backline.
So a play pattern we often see from Chorong is...
Bro, Chorong is insane, dude. Chorong is the future, in my opinion. People hyped him up for his main support last year, and last year he was fine. Like, he was a good main support on a mid-team in the Toronto Defiant, but... Man, his flexibility, his Ana looked really strong. His Kiriko's really strong. Like, he is the future in a lot of ways, in similar ways to Violet. Of like, he's a main support player who can play flex support, where Violet's more of a flex support player who can play main support.
Perfect, really, thus far. I mean, Kevster's a fantastic Widow player, but when he's got like a Kiriko teleporting behind him, a Tracer coming from one angle, and then they're really not giving him much to shoot at.
Kev's poor performance, yeah. Well, like Kevster hasn't really had any space to shoot yet, right? Like, I wouldn't say he's playing badly. I just wouldn't say he's also finding picks, right? And you know, the best widows in the world find picks.
Knows the recall's been forced. He can play a bit more aggressively in Kevster's direction. Going to force another defensive cooldown.
You're gonna be saying that about Fixer and Skewed? We'll see, right? I don't think Fixer has the flexibility people say he does. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't think he has that flexibility in him. People are like, oh, remember that one time in the Mid-Season Madness where he played Ana and he had those crazy sleeps? Bro, the most impressive sleep he ever had was on Shy overclocking, and that was a pure accident.
even if it's
He was literally shooting asleep at someone else, and the Shy nanoed overclocking, jumped in front of his face.
Because they were going to get rolled through this.
And that's why Yaki can play Tracer as well, right? Like, Yaki has that kind of level of play on Tracer. He's exceptional in this hero.
And the Gladiators really had no answer for it until Yaki makes that play. Does end up dying here, though. Merit with a headshot.
It's a big kill.
Someone's not back in the equation yet. We'll see if they can take advantage of this.
Such good walls timing. That gives him so much space. Oh, Kev. Oh, this is the clip everyone's seen.
They both used Inversight at the same time in the first point, right?
Dude, Merit just does this so consistently. It's fucking wild.
Like, you're just really not putting down that much damage at all, right? Kevster just
what do you do?
Anything to shoot at. I think Florida just doing a great job playing angles, pushing him into different situations. It's kind of like, you know, eliminating the benefits of the hero.
Fix played Ana to a really high low, and that said it was cheapened by people focusing on that footage on Slip. I think people are overrating his Ana from that performance. I thought his Ana was fine, but I don't think it was high impact. And I feel like we haven't seen enough of Fixer flex support to say either way. Like, I'm not saying that Fixer can't play flex support, but I also don't think there's enough to say that he can play flex support, if that makes sense.
So you're not going to play the Ramatra.
Can Kai keep up with that? That's the question that Kai's going to answer, right? Dude, look, Chorong and Checkmate are just assailing the back line. Kevster needs to switch. Just straight up, Kevster shouldn't be on this hero anymore. Yeah, it goes Genji. If you're going Ramatra Brawl, like... And I think this Ramatra Brawl is the right call.
He's going to go over to Genji, so... a masterclass really from Florida.
Would I really have a Philly bias? I guess that's true. I guess I'm talking to a fan. You can't win those conversations.
To make some big adjustments. Like, do you think about changing some of the tanks here, right? Do you need the Kariko going into this Ramatra comp?
Kevster doesn't have a kill, yeah, and that's it, right? Like,
someone here making that switch up.
I also think they're playing into Florida's game right now, which isn't their best, right? They should be playing this Ramatra Brawl. This is where they are. I think they have the difference over the Florida Mayhem. Anytime where you're going to... I think if you ever take the hit scan matchup against Merit, you're just losing. Even with Kai in the lineup, like, just don't take the hit scan duel versus Merit. It's just the wrong play.
It's probably going to be about here.
They give up the self-destruct, Florida, to swap onto the Ramatra. That's a Kasune rush there on the high ground here. That is a lot of brawl and go down. Dante gets really low. The immortality field, they're able to save him. Can have a Blizzard here used too.
Oh my god. No! Dude, Babel was jumping in as he got stuck. Dude, Checkmate is going psycho. Can the Rambrel move fast enough to avoid picks? And that's sort of the question of, like, on first and second point, can you get away with not playing the hit scan? That's why we've seen a lot of teams playing, like, Tracer Sombra Winston dive and just trying to, like, get on the face if you're not comfortable with it, but it's had mixed success, right? We've seen teams not be able to find that value with the Sombra Winston Tracer.
So it looks like
do you know Checkmate's stick percent? It was like 50% or something like that. There was a Reddit thread which had everyone's percentages up. Good sound barrier by Lastro. Lastro is also a hyper valuable player right now.
That wasn't supposed to happen. He got pulled off with the rest of his team, and the Gladiators look confident in trying to push in. I think Dante didn't want to have to use Annihilation here. Or at least that part of the fight, maybe a little bit earlier.
What do you think of Stalker? Stalker's lit. Stalker's a great player. He's very impressive this year. 59%. That's pretty good. 59% is pretty high. Rami is so underrated. Yeah, you see, like, you can really see the difference between the good Rams and the bad Rams of, like, how they utilize it to, like, control positioning.
Once you get your own Annihilation online.
Yeah, the Gladiators able to prevent Florida from completing the map, but still a really good offense here from the Florida Mayhem. I also thought it was actually...
It, like, fucks with Lucio's really hard, the Ramatra E.
If the Kevster starts to find that those sight lines get choked up a little bit, then you can obviously make the switch. Yaki's also a scary prospect.
Rem is an insane character forever, yeah. Ever since they gave him movement speed on his Nemesis form, it's huge. So now we're going to see Gladiators play the same thing. Now on their attack, they're going to play the Baptiste Kiriko. And I like this. Like, I think this Baptiste Kiriko is something that I think the Gladiators can play. Babel and Lastro have done this stuff in the past. I'm not sure if I love the Kevster Widow with it. But I guess at that point, what else would you play?
Those two are hitmen. They're after Kevster more often than not.
it's got to be so annoying because he has to know.
Also, Custa checkmate top 2 solo kills. Yeah, like checkmate's just been great this season.
Kicks off, his team obviously needs his damage, and
there we go. Kevster gets RuPaul. That's the point you're playing Widow, right? You gotta hope for you have to get those kind of shots eventually. Rapper on the merit. Well played. Well played. Good looks.
Thinking he was fairly safe there, so credit to Kevster there for just taking a risk. Taking a chance going.
Think Stalker played better than Kevster? Yeah, but you know, obviously you're gonna look better when your team is playing better as a whole.
I have an idea that he was like playing around that corner, right? Like he almost had to have that shot lined up, like jumping around the corner. Had to have an idea that he's playing from there. This is still the checkmate and Chorong show here behind enemy.
Lastro's comeback has been huge. I thought after his season on Toronto he was done, proving down has been wrong. Nah, Lastro. Pretty much every player I've ever talked to who's worked with or played with Lastro has said that he's fucking insane. He's just one of those people who's just a natural gamer who's just so competitive and so mechanically strong. Did you know he got to like Radiant in Valorant like apparently super quickly? Apparently he got to top rank in Valorant just like easily. As a support player in Overwatch, like pretty hard to do.
Just on the point, just rolling it out in Nemesis for.
Now Widow's chiming into the background.
That
was probably, to keep him alive more than anything here, because he doesn't have his Nemesis form up for a while.
I mean, aim and value can carry. I don't agree with that. Like, yeah, it's going to be good if your aim's incredible. So, to get to Radiant, you need to have incredible aim, but you also just need to understand those kind of things. That wasn't a very valuable stick.
He's going to be a very tough nut to crack. He'll be able to back away. That ultimate expires. Now the Kitsune Rush comes out from
I think he had like top 10 last year, yeah.
Just sitting on the high ground, maybe trying to take a duel with Merit, and checkmate pounces on him.
Overwatch players translate to tac shooters better than tac shooters translate to Overwatch. Prove me wrong. I agree with you. Because I think there's so much movement and other things involved in like that, but you know, aim is definitely a much more important proponent of, you know, tac shooters than Overwatch is. Overwatch is more about like game understanding and movement and that type of stuff.
Tough spot, so you're gonna lose him. You're gonna have to wait.
And that's it. Like Valo, you know, like any Overwatch League player can go to Valorant and they could easily get to like a high rank, right? But there is a difference between being a high rank and being a top rank, right? That's the same thing as like, it's pretty easy to get top 500 in Overwatch. Realistically, if you're a good player at FPS games, you can get top 500, especially if you're like just gonna play DPS, right? But to get to top 10 in Overwatch is like a completely different ballgame. Getting to the top level is like a you gotta put that mechanics with the understanding and game understanding. And some people just pick that stuff up better. Also, this Gladiators attack has not gone well. They just can't close anyone out. It kind of needs to go on to Kevster on the Widowmaker. He needs to get more shots because they just don't have enough damage to kill someone. With a Kiriko Ana just like pumping someone with healing. The only person who can really kill anyone is Kevster. It's good nade. Oh, I think someone overextended.
Someone trying to pressure him down, but Dante's able to back away. Amp Matrix in play for Lastro, the healing being amplified as well. The Arctic Force to Chorong here, not a good sign. Checkmate and Chorong.
Oh god, that was not great.
Fulfill the contract, and the Gladiators are felled.
Yeah, so Florida just looked way better in that. As I said, I think Gladiators need to move away from hit scan, and I guess that's why we end up seeing them have better looks here, but yeah, Merit on Widowmaker on Rialto went 9 final blows, 3 deaths, right? Like, it would have been interesting to see a stat comparison to Kevster in that one. Why didn't they play with Kai? Yeah, I agree. If you're planning on playing Widowmaker for the first 2 points, then I think you just play Kai and then just like get Kai to play Hanzo on the 3rd point, right? Like you can make that work.
Not playing the Lucio here. We've seen them opt for like a less mobile Ashe-based composition in the past. It's paid off for them.
So Merit's gonna play Ashe on push, which I don't love. But we're gonna see the Queen Tracer Sombra out of Gladiators. Which I don't mind the Queen Tracer Sombra here. I think they thought they were going to go up against the Winston. Is there a team you like the most? No, there are teams I like more than others. Like, I like watching the Gladiators. I like the Gladiators. I have a lot of people I like on the Gladiators. Yeah, dude, this is... That is annoying for RuPaul. I've enjoyed watching the Florida resurgence.
Getting those big axe swings, right? No, just kind of getting all those...
Fuel, obviously.
And then having those 2 flankers to finish people off.
I'm curious how the Mayhem's composition.
Bro thinks he's MN3. Oh, Astro.
To give themselves time to give value out of Merit.
Gladiators got to kind of go with this comp. It feels like I don't know who they went on.
You see, they kind of
like you got Tracer Sombra Queen. You got to kind of go.
I think you're just kind of like seeing where the Gladiators are coming and pushing.
I wonder if Dante would be better off going Winston.
Dynamite, right? There's not tons of like, you know, obviously.
If like he went Winston Impressionist, but that might just be too much damage. No, like would a good Winston Tracer Sombra dive just shut this down by Florida? Like if you just played well enough aggressive.
Prevents him from coming in. That's when you can
maybe they don't want to do that, but now you're playing a Ramatra against an Ashe, and I feel like the Ashe is better in this setup than the Sombra. But I could be wrong. It could be easy to get value out of the Sombra hacks and EMPs.
Before they have enough time to find an incremental value. Checkmate's doing a good job though of making it hard for the Gladiators to go together as a unit.
Gives us 6 Merit. It's huge.
Finds home with the pulse bomb on Merit. And this is it. Gladiators rush forward now, of course, with the Ramatra chain. Doesn't really alter their team fight winning objective very much.
They use their EMP there as well.
I think Kiri and Ram play well against Winston IMO. Yeah, I could see that. Like there definitely might be a reason why Dante isn't playing Winston. And we've seen a lot of teams stray away from Winston just this weekend compared to the first weekend. So it feels like something has changed in scrims that people have worked out how to make Winston less valuable.
In your face damage though, right? That's kind of what Tracer's awesome at.
And also she doesn't have to full commit in order to do that either.
Yeah, I mean you just hit recall, right? And you're
I don't know if I like Kevster on the Genji. I guess this enables Yaki to go Tracer. Like, if they're going to play Tracer Genji, but I don't know if I like the Genji with Lucio Kiriko. Like, I don't really know how he does anything as the Genji.
Requires his attention more than anything else. Yeah, very scary. As soon as Yaki sees Chorong turn towards him, he's got to get out. Here's that sound barrier coming in.
Yeah.
First and foremost. No real sort of durability-based ultimates here for the backline of the Florida Mayhem, so it's hard to have an answer to sound barrier.
Yeah, and Merit ends up using his bot.
Dude, them losing the bot here is so bad. They probably get checkpoint if they don't lose the bot here.
It's got to be like checkmate, right? The backline pushing the bot, you know, a little bit, yeah, out of the way. You could actually saw. You know,
I guess checkmate dying late isn't the worst thing in the world because he dies late, but Florida should be able to at least contest before it gets checkpoint now. Can't play Mystery Heroes this match? Yeah, it doesn't seem like he really feels comfortable and knows exactly what he wants to play. It's a pretty slow EMP by Yaki. Has Yaki got an EMP yet? I don't think he has. This might be his first EMP in 4 minutes, which is not very good.
Dante not able to do.
Oh, it is his second, okay.
The same kind of thing there.
Custom, when is your VTuber era? Dude, someone already asked me if I was gonna get a VTuber. Dude, VTubers are expensive. I got Sabrina. She has a VTuber. Like she got a commission for the drawing, but I got it properly rigged for her for Valentine's Day this year. Oh, that shit's expensive to get it properly rigged and get it good.
No sound barrier on the other side, right?
So I was doing a VTuber collab. I'm losing my mind. Really? Oh, that's really... it's really cool. Like, I think VTubing is really cool. Just as, like, a thing. But I honestly... it's really good for people who don't like being on camera. I don't mind being on camera, so...
Hard to see if it got really anyone outside of someone, if that.
But I always appreciate a good VTuber.
That blade actually cuts through...
In-game skins as their models and voice by... Dude, that's actually fucking wild.
Right out of the equation fast, and... he's actually going to play Winston, so a really interesting...
You're rich enough to buy the Valiant, but not enough to buy a VTuber? Turns out I'm not rich enough for either. Right, yeah. Do a Tracer VTuber model? I don't even know what type of VTuber model I would do.
And again, yeah, very good at pressuring that Genji away. Might force Custa to make a switch.
Feels like Gladiators are winning a lot of team fights, but they're not really getting the advantage off of it. And I think this maybe like this is the weakness of having Florida Mayhem and Merit play the Ashe. It doesn't feel like Florida can control any space. Maybe that's why someone went Winston. They got the Ana Kiriko.
Someone is going to make him pay for it.
Yeah, but they just kind of get rolled over from the brawl.
Dante was stood right in front of him. Did not have the mobility.
Buy Chips' contract, yo. Bring Chips back, one of the undefeated players in the Overwatch League. Small loan of 1 million. Ah, yeah, I got that in my back pocket. Don't worry about it, guys.
This ultimate here, he's hit with a buyer though. You have to wonder about this one. Florida obviously are behind the 8 ball a little
Zen,
bit.
but with a nose. Hey,
Opportunity alongside the Kitsune
stay away from my
Rush.
nose.
Unclear if that really is going to present itself at this point.
So Merritt does go Sombra. This is a pretty rare time that we see Merritt go Sombra. I like the switch though, but then Dante instantly makes the recognition. Oh, you're going to go the Winston Tracer Sombra? This is where I want to play the Junker Queen, right? So good smart swaps by Dante. As soon as he recognizes that he can swap, he does. And I think that's one of the big reasons that they get an advantage.
Winston to kind of counter Kevster playing that Genji. Kevster now goes to Tracer, and you're going to go back to the original comp.
It'd have to be a lot for the undefeated champ to come out, I think. Yeah. We got all the undefeated players in the Overwatch League. Who else is there? Avast, undefeated. IDQD, undefeated.
Is there an opportunity to leverage the extra damage?
Chipsa, undefeated.
Someone's got plenty of his own though, and Funny Astro's already been ripped limb from limb, but it's primal.
Sideshow does not count.
Happy just to try and give a
Sideshow never had an Overwatch League contract.
and put pressure down on Chorong and the rest of his cohorts.
I refuse to buy into this narrative of fake news.
I kind of like where the comp ended up for the Florida Mayhem in the end, though. Like, it's going to be really
What you mean,
difficult.
the classic Tracer Sombra?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really difficult, I think, to punish someone on Winston.
Florida gets the advantage. Just like the earlier switches, getting some of the important picks.
You're able to kind of get him with a Junker Queen axe, like a knife, get him back into position, make it difficult.
EMP only hits Chorong?
Just Chorong hit with
Yeah, just Chorong who ends up Suzuing himself. No follow-up on that EMP from Yaki. That was a weird one.
For a health pack here, anything to keep himself up.
Don't like that.
That's going to be Chorong end up using the Kitsune Rush here too. So Florida thinks
Yeah, Florida kind of getting away with this one now.
This past that first checkpoint.
Okay, Checkmate maybe overextending. He was able to get the recall though. Just
Checkmate's pathing on Tracer is so clean. Here's the thing. I don't think Checkmate's like aim and mechanics are as good on Tracer, but just from watching him in this match, he just plays as if he never dies. Like he just plays so smart and conservative.
Checkmate definitely being pursued though.
And he's just annoying to deal with. Like he's just a constant threat who's hounding.
Yeah, but they're going to walk right into an EMP.
Yaki seems like he's not as comfortable. Yeah, Yaki's Sombra is definitely not as comfortable as you would hope it would be.
The Gladiators at this point, right? They have a lead for most of the game now.
Even with that EMP flop, they're the ones who end up pushing it forward.
Plus Nano coming back. See, because you're also going to have a brief moment.
Are they going to give the checkpoint up? They are going to give the checkpoint up. That's a strange look, but I guess maybe they weren't all here yet.
Unless he's reset it, Merritt's translocator is
This is a good EMP. The question is, where's the follow? Someone went through a different door, couldn't find value. Late beat by Funny Astro as well is huge.
Finish off the target he was looking for. Someone back to the high ground here. Still a lead for the Florida Mayhem.
Dante holding onto the rampage.
Back down. Checkmate's pulse bomb needs to find purchase here in a big way. Biotic grenade affecting.
Oh, Funny Astro gets caught though. I don't think you use the rampage here as well. Still behind for the Gladiators. Amazing Kai from Mayhem. Yeah, they're like, I question whether or not they should have given up the checkpoint, but I think it was the right call. If they tried to take that like 4v5 fight just to touch to make sure they didn't give them the checkpoint, they potentially could have lost. They lose that fight, then they lose that advantage that they have. So they give up the checkpoint, but then make sure that they contest to keep the advantage. So now they're still in a good spot. Someone goes very aggressive, very early. Oh, good EMP. Oh, that was so lucky he primaled. Also unlucky he primaled, because as soon as he primals, he lost, what was that, 400 health from that EMP and just gets absolutely deleted. Dante just isn't getting healed.
Again, the hitman for the Florida Mayhem. Make good on the deed. And they still have
Someone coming back, Doomfist.
Might have just halted the Gladiators' chances of a comeback. You know, you understand what Yaki was trying to do, right?
Someone to get them out there disengaging. I think someone would just play too aggressive there. Trying to force their agenda too much. Like no one else was there for the follow-up.
Yes, Dante does have the
Oh my god, that late touch.
Use it is looks like Kevster was there contesting the bot. Just need to keep this one in overtime. They need to be perfect from here on out. Do the Gladiators? This looks like Florida. They decided back on up here.
Dante with the rampage still.
Doomfist just to get back in the fight.
He's been holding onto this one for a while.
But look at that, like, just golden line there at the top.
I think Glads could have touched it. They didn't push the bot yet. I think Glads could have touched it anyway. They have a Tracer.
Resistance here just yet.
It's about the Nano onto the Doom. Yeah, it has to be there. Like that carnage connected onto what someone.
Checkmate and Merit Dead is crazy. Like the dive, they just kind of botched the dive, and I don't like the Doomfist. Like I think someone should have stayed Winston. He came back for that fight anyway. If he stayed Winston, that Nano gets way more value.
Yes, the Doom is
Florida backing up here. Yeah, but you kind of gotta regroup. You don't think you can touch. Yaki kills RuPaul. B comes out against the EMP. They got their own EMP and just close it out. I think it was just a bunch of little things that hurt Florida there. Like, I don't think that was like a massive throw. I think the Gladiators played well, but I think Florida got impatient. That's what it feels like. Florida got impatient with some of their dives to close out the map. They lost a lot of their tempered play and their like smart dives that they find a success. But honestly, like, Gladiators were better on that map. I think Gladiators in general were in more control. The Merit Ash didn't really find a lot of value.
I think, you know, Florida, like, you end up kind of like...
Is there enough money in the world to get you starring in a Jackass film? Hell no. Have you seen that shit? That seems awful. You know what the worst part about those Jackass things are? Is the traps that they set for people that are just in like regular like things. They're like, oh yeah, here's like the back of the set where they have the truck. And like, oh, here's a food truck. But then the food truck fucking punches you in the face and stuff like that. Like, the giant hand, yeah. Just shit's like everywhere. They just fuck like you would never feel safe, and you never know what the extremes of how unsafe you should feel.
Definitely had some effect in this. Strong has a really
hell no. I like my comfortable living with my 3 cats.
By the way, you know, 2 of those 2 players.
The worst thing this man has done is drink maple syrup in an air-conditioned studio. Yeah, and even then that was awful.
Put together the Tracer Kiriko dive.
We'll see. Diva, obviously another option here, right? In terms of like...
People say the Doom pick was bad. Yeah, and that's it. Like, I agree. The Doom pick was bad, but it wasn't a throw. Like, I don't think picking Doom is the worst thing in the world. Would they have potentially won if they stayed Winston? Maybe. But it's easy to say that in hindsight. For all we know, the Doomfist could have worked exceptionally well, and we'd be like, oh, he's so smart, he went Doomfist to touch. So now we go to map 5, Ilios. Mercy Echo from both sides. We've seen a lot of Mercy Echo in the West lately. I don't love it, if I'm being honest. Like, I'd rather just see, like, Anna Brig, but it must be working in some capacity if everyone's playing it. I just think the Mercy's too susceptible to death, and I think that... there's just... I'd rather play, like, Anna Brig, and then have, like... Tracer Echo, and then you can just like pack and like keep an eye on the Echo, but then people want to play Ash, but then no one's playing Tracer. I feel like Tracer would just be good, but what's a Shui? Oh no.
The ability with the Mercy to kind of like fly back, even help RuPaul is there'll be some percentage gain here by the Florida Mayhem at the start, but it should be
the Dante Diva thing of legends. Dante Diva has been one of his better characters. He plays it like that big Tracer.
Great job there identifying a window.
I think if you go exclamation mark Shui, I think I have clips of my Shuis.
Period. And so the Glads now can start to get some percentage on the board here. The Mayhem at 21% on virtue of base.
Lol baited. I actually thought I did, but owned idiot.
Chucking his dynamite up there at the high ground. It's a nice eat with the from someone. Valkyrie in the mix here for Funny Astro.
Morb. Yeah, go exclamation mark Morbin time for my Shuis. Did Dante play Diva back in Goats? No. Dante was still a DPS player back in Goats. I think he was... What team did Dante play when Goats was around? Was he on Houston at that point? Was he the Zarya player? I think he played the Zarya. I don't think he played the Brig. He was on the Outlaws. I can't remember exactly. Jake played Brig on the Outlaws? Yeah. Bob on Bob action. One's getting damage boosted. Chorong takes down Yaki in the copy.
Getting someone on to stall it out for a little bit. And he's going to have a self-destruct here. You're going to have...
Get him, Chorong.
Come back in. There's no way he's going to be able to get a res, right?
Get the clock out.
But dude, they get like 24...
Wasn't he also on the Shock? Yeah, but that was only for 2018.
That is like where the Gladiators are...
And the Shock were not very good in 2018.
Just someone being able to get out of the point. Merritt actually chucks his Bob on it, right? So Bob kind of stalls for a little bit as well. That could be huge percentage. I mean, imagine if you're the Gladiators, right? You have an extra like 20-25% at this moment in time, right?
What do you think LA and Mayhem need to do in order to compete with the Outlaws and Reign?
Being able to flip it for that is huge for Florida.
You're not going to like the answer that I have for that question. I think Atlanta and Outlaws teams are too... Their rosters are too good for either of these teams to... I think both Gladiators and Florida can compete with both of those teams. But in general, I think both Houston and Atlanta will be better in the long term because I think they just have better players across the board.
Yes, checkmate with a duplicate here, just trying to make a way for the mega health pack. Dante
Well, maybe we'll see some weaknesses in the Houston Outlaws if we go to an off-tank meta and they can't play the Winston, and we might see that real soon, but...
wants to keep himself alive. And not going to be able to demech a diva on the other side of things. Is we got 99% here for the Glads. It's going to be Dante also getting the benefits of the Nana.
Glad's just been what feels like in control most of this match. Oh, this map. Dude, how is Chorong alive? Good play by Dante. Yeah. How long was Kevster on Tracer for? Was he on? No, okay, he switched pretty late in the game. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about these Ashe Echo comps because it just feels like, I don't know, even as a spectator, it's just hard to know what's going on because it just feels like there's so many duels going on all over the place.
Just looking at like the negatives with them, right? You know, the team sitting at 1-1. You get a win here, right?
Spheler supposedly has an elite Junker Queen in his back pocket, though. He's got to translate, though. We don't know. As I said, he's got to prove it.
From the seeding and all that, right? Like, this could be a huge match when you go back and look at things.
Since Overwatch 2 started, Dante has been the best tank in the world on control maps. No. Here's the thing. I like where your head's at. I like where you're coming from. But I'm still just gonna say no. You're gonna need to give me some hard facts for me to believe that. Like, if you give me hard facts that Dante is the most winning tank from last season on control, I will concede. But off of my history and brain test of tanks, like, my brain instantly went to Hanbin. Like, I feel like Hanbin was dominant on control, especially because he played, like, Xayah shit and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. Has been. Yeah. I don't know who else to say otherwise, because it's been kind of weird, because I guess Dante... It's like I don't know. This shit's too fucky to give a certainty of an answer. But I like where your head's at. I like that hot take. You know, you get. I like it, Hive Raven.
Like the meta, that's kind of what you see here mostly. But even then, like, there's like, you know, decent amount of Winston Diva play. We see Junker Queen here, Ramatra.
So we got Junker Queen, Genji, Sojin. So they're playing like the dive. I think they were once again. I think Gladiators were anticipating a lot more Winston out of Florida Mayhem. But Florida Mayhem haven't really played much Winston at all in this series and been playing a lot of Ramatra. So I wonder if that sort of threw the Gladiators off in this series. Because, like, Dante's come out on Junker Queen multiple times, and then he ends up against the Ramatra, and he's like, well, shit. Unless this is a recognition by the Florida Mayhem of, like, hey, we know how much Junker Queen Dante is going to play, expecting us to play Winston. Let's play Ramatra versus that. If that is really the Gigabrain back and forth strats that we're getting, then I think that's awesome. But I don't know if that's reality. And maybe that's just me living in my own bubble. Because was it on Plat Chat last week? You said Vindame dies too much on Shock? Yeah.
You basically got this for free. You stood on the point first. They were playing a little bit further back with the window.
Yeah, Gladiators end up getting 40% for that. You're pretty happy with that if you're the Gladiators, because I don't think Florida ever lost the fight.
Using their annihilation there, so
I favor Junker Queen over Ram in this matchup. No way. Hell no. I don't believe that at all.
Difficulty comes. How do you push into this Widowmaker? How do you?
I think the Ramatra wins this most of the time.
I mean, you do this again, right? You go the right side of the map here. Merritt trying to get.
I think Ram bodies Junker Queen. I agree.
By laying down a poison mine, but still not able to find any, real damage.
Merritt gets Dante. Yeah, I think Gladiator's got to swap. They have no way of dealing with this Baptiste, Kiriko, Widowmaker setup. Like, they're just gonna die, and like, unless Yaki is Either Kevster has to go sicko mode with the overclock, or Yaki needs to be able to kill the backliners on his own. Like, how does Yaki deal with Merit RuPaul? Like, you just don't. So then you just have to accept that you're going to lose. And then they don't have enough damage to kill someone. Because if they try and run down someone, they have Immortality Field and Suzu. And then Checkmate's just running circles around them in the Tracer. I feel like Glads are getting comped, diffed in this one. Dude, Checkmate actually has an invisibility cloak. I thought this was so interesting. Right? You see 5 players, right? 5 players from the Los Angeles Gladiators come through and walk through here. Is Lucio really the best option? Like, maybe. I guess maybe he forces Amp because Funny Astro gets pressured, but I feel like going for the Kiriko or someone, if you get to shoot at anyone. Yaki's already used Deflect. I don't know, it just felt like such a weird option going for Funny Astro, but it kind of worked. Force out beat early. And that's one way how to... That's how you deal with this Widowmaker Baptiste, right? They just beat engage. Unfortunately, they beat engage, it overclocked, and pulled a blade.
I'd hope they're able to with Sound Barrier, Dragon Blade, and an overclock, right?
Yeah, I think maybe... Actually, the more I explained, like Genji, Sojin, Lucio, Kiriko, maybe Lucio is just the best option to shoot at. It felt weird at the time, but... You just want to swap comps? Florida's not going to swap comps. Oh, you think Gladiator's going to swap comps? You can't go into a team fight saying we're going to swap comps when the other team has 73% ult charge. Because you're going to swap comps. Wow, they did not know where Chorong went. Chorong just fucked up so badly there. Oh, and they're going to throw the pulse bomb. Wow, someone used the Annihilation though. That's pretty big.
Annihilation in play, but it expires pretty quickly. Nobody around to really bask in those pink rays. RuPaul is down here, so a longer fight have to feel like could be good for
He's got to be careful. He just used all of his blinks. He's fucking dead. How is he alive? Oh, okay, I was going to say.
Taking the lead.
How does Kevster die, though? Like, where was Kevster? Kevster must have been, like, over here. Because that's where someone just came from. What is going on? You think Checkmate is up there with other elite DPS? I think Checkmate is a perfectly good DPS. From what we've seen so far, he's a perfectly good... That only hit one person, and they got suicided. He's a perfectly fine DPS to play at any level. Do I think he can be proper and that kind of stuff? No. Not from what we've seen from him so far. I don't think he's ever going to be a proper Kevster, but I think he can compete with those guys. He's like A tier. Those other guys are S tier. Dude, that was such an important team fight. Like, Chorong winning this, like, it could not be overstated how important this win is for Chorong. Merit gets Funny Astro. So, but then they're like, okay, time's ticking up. Yaki kills RuPaul. If Yaki also, he gets Merit. If he also gets Chorong, they probably just win. Because all of a sudden, the Tracer doesn't have as much health, doesn't have as much backup. Checkmate has to go back, and then, like, they don't have the Kiriko to follow through with that. Like, that was such an important kill by Chorong.
Healing coming in from long range, the Immortality Field expired, the Doomfist play for someone didn't work out, a new Queen streak here.
And then Funny Astro just gets evaporated by a Doomfist empowered punch. I don't know how Florida, like, that was crazy that Florida managed to come back into that.
Oh, as Bob makes his way to the point, just such a distraction is, can you get back in touch here?
I thought Checkmate was a tank player. Why do I remember him on Ryan?
You're kidding me!
Yeah, no, you must be in a fever dream. You're fine. Dude, also, this was so funny. That I love production coming in with Florida with the team win. They're like, wait. And then they're like, wait, why isn't anybody celebrating? I mean, 1-1. Production getting a little overeager there.
Checkmate look great. Unlikely, but Florida, they flip it. They give themselves another opportunity.
Last round, map 5, third round of control, says script leaked.
Ash here right away. So, Ash.
All right, so we got the same thing. Ramatra versus the Queen. So Gladiators coming in with this setup again. They must feel confident, feeling like they can beat it. Tiger, thank you very much for the 11 months.
Yeah, it means those bombs come up pretty quickly as well. Mero wants to play the diagonal if he possibly can. Also, accessing the high ground means that only Yaki and Lastro can really get up there and harass him. Kevster perpetually at full charge here, plenty of shields in his way. An Immortality Field also plucked away.
Checkmate gets funny, Astro. And that's like just great rotation from the Florida Mayhem playing to their strengths. You can see the Gladiators are trying to chase them, but then Florida just ended up on the high ground and they're like, wait, shit, we can't get up there. The only people who can get up there can't be really helped. And then Dante has no way of getting up there as well. So it's honestly good heads-up play by Florida Mayhem.
Rupal ends up fighting him. Where do they go inside there by the windmill, right? And they come out from underneath the doors, and who's above?
And we had barely any 3-1s. Yeah, that's fair.
Just you know, drop it right on their head.
So Dante goes to Winston.
This is Dante.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Dante wants to play the Queen. I think once again he was expecting them to play the Winston. Like Florida's just like, no, we're not going to play the Winston. And Dante's just confused.
So even if Dante, you wouldn't say he's like a Winston specialist. Winston,
which is like, think about it. Dante is not known for his Winston. Gladiators are not known for this composition. In the final hours, they're like, you know what? Against this Ramattra composition, let's go Winston. And I don't hate it because I think Winston should be favored on this point over Ramattra. Like, Ramattra can get kind of kited around, and like, this is the value. You can just sort of be everywhere. As you can see, someone looking for people to hit punch. So it's such a smart switch here from Dante.
You're able to build this up pretty quickly, though. It's quite rare to see this point get flipped, you know, back and
Ash isn't good into Glad's comp. Yeah, like Ash is like awful into Glad's comp. Like there is so much pressure that you have. Like the Trace of the Winston, the Kiriko can all put so much pressure on you.
And just kind of get out of jail free cards, so to speak. So Florida doesn't want to make a change in terms of tank match because they have this annihilation coming up. So see how long this next
bump
could get drawn out.
Sees Rupal there, he knows it's just he can just usually throw down an immortality field and be fine. It's really
is he gonna force lamp? He forced the shift already.
For Chorong, but no, he's all he's found Rupal. He's gonna have to try and make
Kevster just murders checkmate with the overclock. That's value right there. If they can get more, that's huge. Yaki gets merit. Yeah, that's clean.
Eventually that pulse bomb did get deployed. It was merit falling foul of it.
Whoa, someone with an annihilation?
Yeah, they're going to actually end up using their Convenient Rush, using their Annihilation. No way.
Oh, I don't like that.
Rage just to get out with his life.
And the envelope game, bro, what the fuck? Florida Mayhem are like, you know what? We're sick of not having a team fight. We're going to just use all of our ultimates to try and win the team fight. Beat. The beat from Funny Astro. Oh, it did hit Dante. I didn't think it did. Oh, so it's the thing that kept Dante alive. So that was a great beat, actually. Dude, that's crazy. It ended up working. So, you know, you can't argue with the results. Especially because Gladiators use beat their own Consumer Rush Primal. So that's just utmost confidence in yourself. Unless you got Lastro versus Checkmate. And he kills Checkmate and Chorong, and then manages to get out. So that was fine for the Florida Mayhem to commit all 5 ultimates if they won the fight. And they should have, but somehow Lastro kills 2 and lives to tell the tale.
Just like a casual, like 3 kills and then being able to just take the point back. Because look at this Yaki, he's right behind Mary, he's no clue. He's in position, Merritt. How do you get away from this?
Oh, good stick. Someone ends up switching Winston in the heat of the moment. Then Yaki. Merritt gets 2 as well. I don't know how Merritt gets 2 in this situation.
They were patient. They bided their time through our escort maps, and they're going to be rewarded for it, surely. Someone comes in with a power bomb, but that's just not going to cut it. Funny Astro able to clamber back out of the well and celebrate with the rest of his team. Again, knocked back. Chorong trying to keep this one going. And now Rupal's going to step up, try and keep the Lucio topped up here. There might be something here, but Chorong gets picked up by Yaki, and that'll do it, surely. Checkmate returns. He's going to be recalling away. It's going to be an overclock for Kevson now. No one dares face him down in the
He's too good.
Patiently.
How do Gladiators get away with it, bro? Like, honestly, it was great play. Like, it really was great play. Like, you need to give credit to the Gladiators. Like, they did the right things. The switch. Dante, and this is the thing that makes Dante great. And one of the best tanks we have in this league. He just makes the right call. Like, in the situation where someone made a couple of bad judgment calls at the end there, right? Like, of, like, going to the Doomfist in the previous fight. Popping the ultimates, that annihilation. Like, maybe making some of the wrong decisions towards the very end when if they had just played more controlled, they would have been fine. While Dante goes Winston, He starts Queen, realizes he's countered by the Ramattra and goes Winston of all things to close out that series is fucking crazy. I think the Mayhem still look very good in this meta, and I think the way that they're playing with the Baptiste Kiriko and that kind of stuff, it was good, but Gladiators just have a way of defying all odds. And they do it once again. Sex Big Dick, Lastro energy. The Gladiators take it over the Florida Mayhem. It was a crazy series. Honestly, this is the type of Overwatch that you love to see. Back and forth, we see the strengths of both of these rosters. And Florida Mayhem, almost some inexperience of playing at the top level. You know, come hurts them. But I think that's an important loss, right? RuPaul talked about this matchup in the post-match interview after their match against Toronto when they won. And he said, like, they were all really upset when they lost, right? They talked about it a ton after the loss. They talked about it, you know, directly after the match. They talked about when they got home. They worked out the issues. They ironed some things out. And then they came out and fucking destroyed the Toronto Defiant. So I wouldn't be surprised if Florida learnt a lot from that match. And that's important to learn those lessons, right? Of like, hey, how do we lose and when we come back from that? So I don't feel too bad for the Florida Mayhem, but massive wins for the Los Angeles Gladiators, proving a lot of doubters coming into this season wrong. That's the VOD review. That will be the last VOD review of this week. We got more matches coming up this weekend. Keep an eye out for those. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the match. Maybe just throw some sex big dicks in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.